It is now apparent that as the youth of today, we must ready ourselves psychologically like the youth of 1976 for the biggest fight against the establishment. We know who stole our land from our grandmothers. We know who stole our minds. There is absolutely nothing that the establishment, masquerading as a government of national unity, can do to deter us, the youth of today. We will continue to remind you that the young people in this country deserve real jobs. Internships are 6 months. We want industrial development, insourcing of security guards and cleaners, free pads, Mr. President, and all those rent manipulators to be arrested and to rot in jail. The people's power is rising in Africa, and we will not be left behind.
Hello, kings and queens. Welcome back. Yo, South Africans, you give me joy. The politics of South Africa, I love it. If you are watching this video from wherever you are watching, from wherever the country, the continent you are watching, if you are Black American, if you are Caribbean, if you are African, please take your time and share this video to the youth of Africa. This is the way to go for the youths of Africa. Because this video is from the Parliament of South Africa, where this bold young lady is calling out the government, is calling out the president of South Africa, is calling out the corruption, the leaders, is calling out the the promises that the leaders gave to the people. This young girl, this youth, this is what we need to do as the youths of Africa. This is what we need to do, and this is what we need. Let's watch this video, and then I'm going to come about it.
To be young is to be in a stage of becoming, of working towards your goals and aspirations to transition from being dependent to independent. However, the youth of this country are perpetual children, and some will never know independence until their old age. At the realization of how doomed we are under your leadership, Mr. President, thousands continue to give in to Nyaupe, and young women and girls amount to bottle girls for you and your friends at the peak of their vibrancy and zeal for life and prosperity. We live with our parents, and finding a 40-year-old man asking his mother for bread is more common than otherwise. This phenomenon is known as the Ramaphosa economy. Joblessness, poverty, and constantly questioning if we are truly the young adults of today. In 2018, Mr. President, you launched a jobs summit and promised the youth of this country 275,000 jobs per year. You failed. In 2019, you promised 2 million jobs and an end to hunger, halving of crime, and empowering the school curriculum where a 10-year-old will be able to read for comprehension. You failed. In 2020, you unveiled a 100 billion rand fund to create jobs in the public sector for the youth. You failed. You launched the NSP against GBV and femicide, and 4 years later, on the eve of elections 2024, the murderer of Kidisaleti Elsin Donje was granted bail of 2,000 rands. You failed. In 2021, you spoke about building new cities, and the National Youth Development Agency would fund 1,000 young entrepreneurs in 100 days. You failed. In 2022, plagued by your own failures over the years, you promised the National Youth Service would create a modest 50,000 jobs in its first phase. You failed. In 2023, you came here and praised yourself for the youth employment service that placed 100,000 youth in peace jobs that lasted nothing more than 12 months. Once again, you failed. Yesterday, you came to this house and promised 2 million jobs to the youth of South Africa. It is thus fair and deliberate to then say that this time next year, the result will once again be not achieved and failed. When you became president in 2018, youth unemployment was sitting at 43%. And nearly 7 years into your presidency, youth unemployment currently sits at 45% for individuals aged 15 to 34, and a whopping 59% for young people aged 15 to 24. Your presidency is characterized by many promises and many failures. It is now apparent that as the youth of today, we must ready ourselves psychologically like the youth of 1976 for the biggest fight against the establishment. The establishment has charged you, Mr. President, at the forefront as the weapon that is formed against us. The youth of today, like Nelson Mandela, who is now hailed as an icon of peace, must be ready to be called terrorists. We must be ready to be called criminals. We must be ready to be jailed for crimes we did not commit. We must be ready to be character assassinated like Ida Mtwana, Robert Sobukwe, Unkhopotsi Tiro, Steve Biko, Winnie Mandela, and Julius Malema. But amongst ourselves as the youth of this country, we know who the true criminals are. We know who stole our land from our grandmothers. We know who stole our mines. We know who stole COVID-19 funds that was meant to keep our people alive. We know who stole Tembisa Hospital money. We know who stole SAA, ISCO, Sasol, Telkom. We know who is now stealing Eskom, Transnet, Prasa, and even privatizing our water. All the while, you are creating an impression that these are natural disasters, despite the fact that they are orchestrated by the true criminals of the government of today, deployed by the Oppenheimers. We know who stole the money that is meant to eradicate pit toilets in the Eastern Cape. We know who stole NSFAS money. We know the mafias of the Steinhoff heist. We know the thugs of the Skills Development Fund. And we definitely know who the #1 money launderer is. There is absolutely nothing that the establishment, masquerading as a government of national unity, can do to deter us, the youth of today, from seeking out our generational mission. The government of the ANC has not fooled all of us. It is under the ANC that we saw privatization of state-owned entities at a large scale, much higher than that of the apartheid government. A trail of privatization that is so aggressive that even our health care isn't spared through the NHI. The rise of the establishment and the collapse of the state takes shape under the government of the ANC. That is the legacy of the ANC today. The positive outcomes of all of this neoliberal facade of the government of the day is that we now rightly characterize the neoliberal agenda encompassing of all its participants who are part of the GNU coalition. We now know who the enemy of economic freedom is. Even if in the past they pretended to be a part of us and spoke like the forefathers of the emancipation movement, the battle lines have been drawn. It is the subject of the Oppenheimer, the GNU coalition versus the people of South Africa. The youth of this country will continue to chant economic freedom in our lifetime. We will continue to present bills in this house that call for expropriation of land without compensation. We will continue to call for nationalization of mines, banks, and other strategic sectors. We will push back against your corruption and hold the captains of the ruling class accountable. We will fight for the scrapping of student debt and continue to call for quality, free, and decolonized education in our lifetime. We will continue to call for free health care, housing, water, and sanitation. We will continue to remind you that the young people in this country deserve real jobs. Internship is 6 months. We want industrial development, insourcing of security guards and cleaners, free pads, Mr. President, and all those rent manipulators to be arrested and to rot in jail. The people's power is rising in Africa, and we will not be left behind.
Welcome back. Now, this young lady from EFF is the uprising Julius Malema. We don't want to call just the Julius Malema we want to call her. He is the real hero of the youths. Now, this young lady from EFF has called out the government of South Africa for the promises they failed. And she's saying that she knows, we know as youths, by the way, it's high time all the youths of Africa, it's high time everyone of Africa, let us just stop complaining that the government is not doing this, the government is not doing that. Let us complain with the facts. Complaining by saying, you know what, in 1990 you told us this. Now we are in 2020, 10 years, 100 years, nothing has been done. We want to complain with facts. We want to put them on table. We want to tell them on their face. Tell these corrupt African leaders on their face that what they are doing is bad. Tell these African leaders on their face that you promised us this and you are doing this. We want to have those facts. That's why I am encouraging the youth of Africa. Everyone, let's do our research. Know our rules, laws of the land. Let's engage actively in politics, even if you are not going to stand as a leader, but just as an active member of your country, because this is the only way we can change the nation, by calling out, by calling them accountable, by calling accountability, by showing us what you did. I'm very happy for this young lady because she's doing something that Kenyans did, the Gen Z of Kenya did, asking questions and, you know, protesting and over. It's not that we are never civilized. Some people are saying that, oh, when you protest, you are not civilized. When you protest, sit and talk with your president. Now, we have sit and talk. What if he doesn't hear us? Protesting is just one way of expressing what you want, you know? It's the only way that will remain to express. But we are not calling for protest and everything. We are calling for accountability. We are calling for asking questions. If 1, 2, 3, and 4 or 5 youths ask questions from our leaders, Africa will start moving forward. And Africa will stop bleeding. Because Africa is bleeding because the people who are supposed to wash these cars and to ask questions from our forefathers, why is here bleeding? We are just quiet. We are crying. Our forefathers are crying, ancestors are crying, grandmothers are crying, and we are born here, the 1990s children crying too with them. But it's like, yo, okay, you have cried for long. What is the problem? The problem is this. Ramaphosa said this. William Ruto said this. Nana Akufo said this. He said this. Museveni said this. But now it is 30 years. Nobody has done anything for the nation. Let's start asking questions. It's our right to ask questions. And let me tell you, the youths of Africa, and let me tell you, the corrupt leaders, the time is near. Because everyone is waking up. Everyone is waking up in the continent of Africa. And I'm very happy that the African diaspora are our ambassadors. I'm very happy the Caribbeans, they are our ambassadors. They are seeing what's happening and they know we are trying. And because they are globally, they are trying to be ambassador of Africa globally. This is the kind of youths we want. We want youths who are leaders, can engage themselves in leadership and fight for injustice. It's better we be called terrorists. It's better sometimes we being called names like children who don't hear their parents, something like that. But it's only by that way Africa will grow. It's only by that way that my kids will not suffer as me, I have suffered, and my family and my father suffered. It's only by me being called as someone who does not, it's only by that. They can call me names, but it's only by that that we will succeed to change the future. Because we have this education, we have this internet, we have everything, we learn. And we will learn their ways. Let us learn their ways. But it's this political scheme here in Kenya, and I've learned their ways for so long. And I know sometimes I see them talking on these medias and I'm like, yo, you're playing my mind. South African, the bold, how this young lady, she's so bold. It is something to be studied in school, face on face with the president of South Africa. I have facts. In 2021, you said this. In 2018, you said this. In your first season, you said this. Now, yesterday, you said this. And all of them, they are wrong. And it's not that we don't know the enemy in between us. It's not that we don't know the enemy between our African countries. It's not that we don't know who stole our properties. It's not that we don't know who is stealing now our resources. It's not that we don't know who is giving out our resources. It's not that we don't know who is making themselves better and leaving people out. We know. But please, we need unity. Unity of Africa. From South Africa up way to Egypt, to Nigeria, to Somalia. 4 corners of Africa. We need to do away with tribalism. Because all these politicians, they are tying us in this cage because of the issue of tribal. This one is from your tribal. This one is from your tribe. That one is from your tribe. Youths now, we are growing up knowing that people from our tribes are untouchable. You are not untouchable. We will hold you accountable. We will hold you accountable, and we are going to hold you accountable every day. Whatever you speak, whatever you say, we are here watching. We are here watching. Please, this video today, share widely. Share widely to African youths. Share widely to the people of Africa. Share widely to the people of South Africa, the people of Ghana, the people of Nigeria, Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania. You have to know that we are one as Africa. Because I always say we are one because the leaders, they carry us this way, the white supremacy. China carry us as one. When they are calling us for summit, it's China and Africa summit. It's USA and Africa summit. It's not USA and Kenya. It's not USA and Ghana. Why? Why? Because they know we come in full package. When they want resources from Burkina Faso, they come with resources from South Africa. That's why they call the pack, we come in package. It's high time to wake up, and it's high time to say no to the corrupt leaders. It's high time we tell them to their face that we know what we know. We know what we know, and they know what they know. It's done. South Africans, this video needs a standing ovation already. I gave it to it. But I love what you are doing. I love what EFF is doing. I love the heart of Julius Malema and the people of South Africa. I love how they're fighting for their rights. I love how they're speaking for their rights. This is how every African country needs. This is how the youths of every African country need to speak and need to react. Because it's only by this that tomorrow will be better. It's only by this that tomorrow will not be crying again that Africa is left behind. It's only by this that tomorrow we'll have better roads, better education, and better health. It's only by this that tomorrow we will be the superpower. It will happen. This issue of disuniting Africa, creating wrangles between Africa, is happening because it's a system that wants to control Africa again. But we are here to say that we have opened our eyes, and the youths of Africa are here, and we will hold you, corrupt leader, accountable for what you said, for what you did. Tell me what you think on the comment section. I am the Kenyan Beast, of course. We're going to do it the African way. Until next episode, peace be with you.